Hello there, and welcome to another of Andre's Artist Profiles. This is another in a series of artist profiles that I have been really waiting to do because I am a humongous admirer of this lady's artistry. And that is Miss Yvette Marie Stevens, known to most people as Chaka Khan, which is actually her name. She went to a Yoruba priest who gave her the name Chaka, which apparently in Yoruba means woman of fire. And she married a man in the early 70s named Hassan Khan, and therefore Chaka Khan. And she just kept that name professionally over the years, which I admired. A very strong African identity. Chaka Khan is a unique cultural figure. I mean, even before she joined Rufus, she came from a family that was very much divided. Her mother was a very disciplined woman who disciplined her, and her father was very much a bohemian man who sympathized with the counterculture and the hippie movement. So that's, I think, why Chaka Khan has endured. She's been able to maintain many admirers from her generation, the baby boomers, and because of her upbringing from her father, was able to bring a lot of my generation, Generation X, into her orbit too, and rinse and repeat. So Chaka Khan is a great post-generational artist, and her voice is one of the most truly unique in all of music. And that's because it is completely and utterly defined by funkiness. She is the Billie Holiday of funk. You know, Billie Holiday's voice defined jazz, first lady of jazz. Chaka Khan is the first lady of funk. She vocally embodies the music. And she had a great career with Rufus, which I'm not going to cover here because I don't feel she is a precise member of Rufus. But this is Chaka's first album, which she was actually still in Rufus when she made this. They hadn't even made their 1978 album Street Player yet. And this is just called Chaka. The Ashford and Simpson penned I'm Every Woman just blew her out of the box and became a huge disco favorite and established that she'd be successful as a solo artist. This 1978 album also contained another song I really like called Life is a Dance, which was a really hard funk number, very much in the spirit of what she'd do with Rufus. She also recorded with George Benson on this album on a great jazzy pop song called We've Got the Love. There's also an empowerment song on here that's a little more like I'm Every Woman, called A Woman in a Man's World. A great feminine theme message song. And Some Love, with that wah-wah and that opening bass line, is one of the all-time funkiest things that Chaka Khan has ever done. Right there along with the bluesy funk of the message in the middle of the bottom. And a version of I Was Made to Love Him, Stevie Wonder's song from a female perspective. And another song called Sleep On It, kind of an urban contemporary number. There's always a lot of lip stuff associated with Rufus and Chaka. Sorry, that's broken. That album had a lot of variety, but in terms of Chaka Khan albums, this has to be my favorite. You know, it was produced again with Ashford and Simpson, but I almost have this album memorized. That's Chaka's daughter. Her name is Melanie. Anyway, this album contains the song Clouds. Basically, you know, the somewhat flip side of I'm Every Woman, but similar in sound. But some miraculously contemporary keyboard-laden funk like Get Ready, Get Set. A great version of Move Me No Mountain. And Too Much Love. And All Night's Alright. And What You Did are amazing, heavy, you know, late 70s, early 80s funk. And Papillon, Hot Butterfly, featuring Luther Vandross, is a great, soulful, kind of jazzy number, which is, you know, this is just an amazing album. This is where Chaka really showed her mettle in making even solo albums. And she more or less left Rufus after this album and recorded this album. These were all recorded with Arif Mardin on the Warner Brothers label. What You're Gonna Do For Me in 1981. This album is a powerhouse. I mean, the cover of this looks like she's literally irradiated. And this album is literally radiating energy. I am not kidding. She opens up with a Billy Preston-fired, Stevie Wonder-like version of the Beatles' We Can Work It Out. She performed it on the Tom Jones Show. It's an amazing version. She really funks it up on that. And she keeps it going throughout this album. What You Gonna Do For Me, the title song. I Know You, I Live You. She had a little Latin flavor there. We've Got Each Other, done with her brother, singing very close with her, and a medley of bebop standards. Well, actually a version of Night in Tunisia, I should say, when she actually samples Charlie Parker on, and a great ballad called Night Moods, which I really like. And Heed the Warning, another powerful kind of early synth funk number, and Fate. All these, this album really emphasizes really intensely powerful up-tempo tunes. One of the things I love about Chaka, okay? Wonderful album from 1981. Now, this album is really hard to find now. You can get it in Chaka Khan's original album series, but it took me a little longer to find it. This is a self-titled album from 1982, where she really went for the hardcore variation of, I suppose, boogie funk. Actually, it isn't boogie funk at all. It's really hardcore funk with a lot of synthesizers and electronics and really heavy dynamics. There's a new wave number on here called Twisted, which is basically like a black version of what Pat Benatar would do. And she equates romantic obsession with mental illness and perhaps her own chemical issues at that time. But this album is home to some fabulous funk, such as Pass It On, Tearing It Up, Best in the West, and a bebop medley, which is actually one of the funkiest things on the album. And building on bebop and funk just creates an amazing Quincy Jones-like, musical continuity from bebop to funk to whatever. Spectacular album if you can get a hold of it, on any occasion. One of Chaka's best. Of course, this is the album that really broke Chaka over commercially. I Feel For You, from 1984. This album, she had a song that she loved by Prince called I Feel For You, which he recorded on his second album, and she redid it with Grandmaster Melly Mel and Stevie Wonder making a guest appearance, and that became a huge hit for her. And another song called Through the Fire, kind of a personal Adele contemporary ballad song, and another song called It's My Night. And like a lot of this, it's a very boogie funk oriented kind of collection, a lot of synthesizers. Chaka's own favorite song on here is Caught in the Act, which I believe is a Gary Wright song, and I love that one too. One of my favorites here is actually another hip-hop scratch-adelic kind of flavored song called La Flamme, in which she actually samples herself and What You're Gonna Do For Me and all of that. Another one of her powerhouse performances. Great, great album from Chaka Khan from '84. One of her iconic records. This album came out in 1986 called Destiny. Now, this album is very much like a Tina Turner record in the sense that it's a very hard dance rock record. Some of the songs have a lot of wailing guitars, but it's just a little more organic than I Feel For You in some ways. It was a bit of a commercial failure for her, but there are some songs on it like It's You and Coltrane Dreams, which is a mixture of electro-funk and a cappella in the end, which is all too brief. They should have really extended that. And they hit Love of a Lifetime, which isn't bad. And Earth to Mickey really isn't that bad either. But definitely in the boogie funk vein. And Chaka, it wasn't her best years personally, but professionally she was on a roll here. Now in 1988, Chaka Khan made this album called CK, which she's actually pretty proud of, but it didn't get a lot of the recognition that it deserved. Brenda Russell contributed the song Soul Talk into this album. She did another Stevie Wonder cover. And a couple of Prince songs. The hip-hop oriented funk of Sticky Wicked. I think it's about drug addiction. And Eternity. Now, she also did a song on here associated with Billie Holiday called The End of a Love Affair. She has a significant personal connection to Billie Holiday's Lady in Satin album, which that comes from, of course. And they also do a cover of I'll Be Around. Miles Davis appears on that and on Sticky Wicked as well. The Miles Chaka collaboration, I feel, was a success. And she had a hit on here called It's My Party, which had a music video to it, which you can find if you look around, but it was not a very big commercial success album for her, and she kind of moved to Europe after this. There's a couple albums that she had in the 90s that I don't have, one of which is called Woman I Am. Not a bad album, I don't have it. But I do have this one, Come to My House, from 1998. This was recorded in a trio of albums by Prince and Larry Graham and Chaka Khan, where the word is bond policy. No contracts. He was trying to prove to Warner Brothers he could do it all on his own. And this is a great, hardcore funk album from Chaka. A little bit underrated, I would say. No real standout cuts, but really great number between Chaka and the then artist formerly known as Prince. This next album came out in 2005, I believe, and it's called Funk This. This is the last, 2007 actually. This is the last album Chaka has recorded for a while. She even recorded her old Rufus song, You Got the Love, with her ex-Rufus partner, Tony Maiden. Back in the Day is pretty indicative of how this album sounds. It's very much a classic Chaka Khan album, and I hope to hear more from her in the future. Chaka is turning 61 years old today. Last year she hit 60. But her voice still lingers on as much as the melody of Night in Tunisia that she sang back in the 80s does. So that's what I have for Chaka Khan. I know this has been a long video, but she is more than worthy of mention here. So happy birthday, Chaka, and Malini, and her family, and all the members of Rufus, and everybody who's been influenced by her. And as for the rest of you, I will see you next time.